The GCC has one of the largest hospitality pipelines under construction. And this week, as our guest on the show, we have Deputy Editor of Construction Week, Oscar Russo. I'm Strakshi Rai, and thanks so much for tuning in for this week's episode of What's Trending on Hotelier Middle East. So, Oscar, what does the construction pipeline for the hospitality sector look like in the Middle East?
Well, so actually, the Middle East boasts a really strong pipeline with nearly 600 projects or more than 170,000 rooms, and this is up by 23% in terms of the number of new rooms year on year. Now, this is the 16th consecutive quarter of growth seen in the Middle East's construction pipeline, according to analysts at Lodging Econometrics. Now, country by country, it will of course be no surprise to see that the UAE and Saudi Arabia is leading the charge in hotel construction as two of the largest economies in the Gulf. Now, if we look at Saudi Arabia, for example, we are expecting to see at least 80 hotels built in the country's major cities, with more than 27,000 units set to open in Jeddah, Riyadh, Mecca and Al-Khabar. Now, this is according to a report by Top Hotel Project. Hilton, of course, is expected to be another key player in the region, building hotels in Jebel Omar, one in Riyadh, and one in Al-Khabar. Now, hotel operator Ratana is set to open 14 hotels across MENA this year as part of its expansion strategy. I think it will tap into new markets like Tanzania, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia, which is exciting.
I mean, we are seeing a lot of movement in the Middle East, specifically in terms of operators signing new projects, opening new hotels, and I think this is all towards driving it to its own vision statements that each country has in the Middle East, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think the vision strategies are they're really important, and they underpin a lot of changes going on across the GCC and across a range of different industries as well. For example, I think when strategies, what they broadly are defined as is economic diversification and developing long-term sustainable growth that moves some of the countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE away from the petrodollars. And one of the kind of the key drivers of that is tourism, and of course that feeds into Hotelier Middle East as well. You know, that feeds into the drive and the rise for hotel projects. And I think when you look at Saudi Arabia, for example, it's building a range of mega projects. You've got the $500 billion NEOM megacity. You also have Qiddiya, which is their new entertainment city.
And not to forget, you also have the Red Sea Tourism Project that was signed last year as well.
Of course, and actually NEOM, the megacity as well, will be along the Red Coast as well. So they're really developing the infrastructure there at the moment. Now, NEOM is a key project that sits along the Red Sea, and it's going to be a vital tourism hub. We expect to see dozens of hotels built there. And of course, you've got Kuwait as well. Now, Kuwait wants to position itself again and put itself back on the map of investment and hospitality and tourism. Now, it's doing that through the construction of its $86 billion Silk City. Now, details have been revealed. The project spans 250 kilometres in Sabia. It's a multi-phase development, Sarakshi. It's due to be completed over a 25-year period. Again, dozens of hotels expect to be built there.
And of course, not to forget, you know, with Expo 2020 coming to the UAE, the construction pipeline in the Middle East, especially in the UAE, is the largest it's ever seen. So that's something to look forward to as well, with the pipeline sort of evolving as the years come along. Obviously, now the important question is, how is infrastructure seeing an investment and an update because of the hospitality industry and the pipeline that's in construction in the Middle East?
Well, I think that's a really important question, Sarakshi, because you can build all these hotels, but they can't be built independent of the rest of the built environment. You know, you're going to need to have major infrastructure projects built if all of these countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the UAE are going to continue to attract millions of tourists every year. And the way we're actually going to see this translate is probably through the aviation sector. Now, you look, for example, at Oman's $4.5 billion New Muscat International Airport. This actually opened earlier this year. It's a beautiful structure, beautiful construction, and it's expected to increase capacity to 56 million passengers upon completion of the many phases of a multi-phase expansion. Now, coupled with that, you've got the Kuwait International Airport. They're building a new terminal there for several $1 billion. Now, this is expected to increase tourism numbers to about 25 million annually. Saudi Arabia, too, as part of their Vision 2030 strategy, they're privatising their airports as well. And this is a really exciting development. So it all ties into streamlining travel for tourists, enabling them to get to hotels and get to the places of leisure that the countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman and the UAE want to get tourists to and want to entice tourists to them. So fundamentally, and to summarise, yeah, we're going to see an increase in infrastructure spending. And why are we going to see that? Because countries want to attract more tourists.
Well, thank you so much for your input, and thanks for joining us on this week's episode of What's Trending on Hotelier Middle East. I'm Sarakshi Rai, this is Oscar Russo, and as always, don't forget to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and leave a comment on this video. Thank you so much for tuning in this week.